Hey guys, I want to welcome you to today's episode. We have a very special guest with us today. We have Ms. Tania Clarke, who is the owner and operator of Move Deeply Wellness, a program that is designed to help people move better. We normally think about moving, we think of exercise, and this is something totally different from that. Also, she has a new 30-day Discover Sonatics, which is a new program she's going to talk to us about. And this is going to be a fun conversation because this is something that is beneficial to everybody. So welcome to Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness. I am your host, Melissa Oatman from melissaoatman.com. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yes, it's so great to have you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about you and how did you get into helping people with wellness?
Well, I definitely come from a diverse background of jobs and stuff. The bulk of my life has been as a visual artist and graphic designer. And about back in 2015, I started exploring my passion for movement. I was always into exercise and yoga and just being strong and healthy. But I also had a lot of trouble with my shoulders from an injury that I had back when I did landscaping for a summer. and that just evolved into a really painful problem. But I decided to do my yoga teacher training to get more in depth with my body and learning how things work better. And that was an awesome experience, and I started teaching for a while, but I couldn't get rid of my shoulder bursitis, and it just felt kind of wrong somehow to be teaching people while I was hurting all the time. So I took a bit of a break and did a lot of sort of exploring and couldn't find any solutions. I suffered for about 7 years total with bursitis, which is an inflammation in the joints of the bursa, and it just feels like you're getting stabbed constantly in the shoulders.
Yeah,
So
I cannot even imagine that can feel very good. And to be teaching yoga on top of that, my gosh, so you're probably in a lot of pain when you're trying to do that.
sometimes, yeah, I really was sometimes. So that eventually my mom actually suggested joining her to a somatic yoga class that she went to regularly. And I did that with her for quite a while. And in the end, I was doing it for a couple of years. But within a few months of doing it, I noticed that my symptoms were not coming back very often. So I started learning more about somatics and discovered the power of it from as retraining your body and getting out of postural imbalances that we end up in over the years that we usually aren't aware of. And I got really nerdy about it, and my body nerd fitness enthusiast really kind of came out, and I decided to do training in clinical somatics. So I never thought I'd be teaching restorative movement at this point. I thought, oh, maybe when I'm older, but I think that's what I'm supposed to be here for. So now it's my mission to help people counter the things that they have to do every day with this amazing practice. And yeah, it's been really great.
So now I'm not super familiar with this particular form of yoga. So would this be helpful for somebody who maybe has an office job and sits at their computer all day? Because I know, like, and I've noticed myself since the pandemic teaching, I sit at my desk more than I'm up. Usually I'm up moving around all day, but because we have like 2 hours without the kids at the afternoon, I'm slumped over my desk like that, I notice. And I notice more tension and pain in my shoulder area, neck area than I've had before. Is that a kind of practice that could help someone who maybe was dealing with an issue like that?
Absolutely, yeah. It's one of the most effective ways to get out of that tension, simply because our nervous system is doing things for us all the time to make us able to do our regular habits or activities easily, which is great, except that when we have to do things like sitting at a desk all the time, we're just not using a lot of muscles, and also overusing other ones that are trying to keep us upright and our heavy heads hanging over. And this is why it's a different method compared to yoga, because yoga is more about lengthening the muscles and also building strength and mobility, but it's helping the healthy muscle fibers, whereas the unhealthy muscle fibers that are getting really tight and that you feel that in your neck when you're sitting at desks are more treated with something like somatics, because it forces you to slow down and slow down and address those muscle fibers, and get the nervous system connecting more efficiently. So the results are much more long-term, and it's kind of like doing a tune-up on your body. So it's like a mechanical tune-up. So if your body's a car, you really want to be tuning up your car regularly, or else you're not going to have it for very long. And yeah, these are really great methods for countering desk work or any kind of repetitive thing that we have to do. So if you do a lot of physical work, same thing. There's the same muscles being used, and we really have to kind of peel away the layers of the onion. As the older we get, it gets more and more built up, and usually we start to notice it when we're in our 40s, that things are like,
Yeah.
not so good. Yeah.
You notice that.
Yeah, and I used to work at a desk all the time, and that's why I had the shoulder bursitis came out of that, from the rounding forward and a compression. And then because I was also active, I wasn't firing the right muscles to support my shoulder area properly. So somatics is a good way of retraining your body to sense and use the muscles better that you don't usually use, and then you can avoid injury as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good thing because, yeah, you talk about when you get older. Definitely, I just turned 44 and notice now if I sleep wrong on my neck, I wake up, and I did that not too long ago. I fell asleep probably before the TV was turned off, but I fell asleep. I woke up and I had this like pain in my neck that then went all the way down my shoulder and back, and it
Mm.
was bad for a week. And I ended up having I tried to go get a massage, and then I thought, okay, I'm just going to try to do some stretches and some yoga to see if that'll help. And it did eventually. I had to keep doing it for a week, but it did eventually work its way out. So I know exactly what you're talking about when you say that we need to really keep ourselves tuned up like a car. Like we need that tune up, because it's true. The older you get, you can just turn your head and snap something. You feel it because we're
Mhm.
just not used to moving. I think the way that we used to as we were younger, I think we get a little more sedentary. So I think it's super important for people to adopt some kind of routine where
Mhm.
they're using their muscles, strengthening their muscles. So your program sounds like this would be perfect for somebody who's maybe just wanting to stay on top of being more, flexible and avoiding injury as they get older.
Yeah, it's that's really my goal, is that I kind of want the world to get, my dream is that the world becomes more proactive with their bodies rather than reactive, because that's just human nature. We kind of don't do anything till it hurts.
Yeah.
But this program is really great for um just sort of preventing those things from happening. So even if people aren't feeling like, oh, well, I feel pretty good, it's all cumulative. So you might feel good now, but the pain we suddenly feel is a response to years of doing the same thing. So yeah, it's perfect for kind of countering those potential things. But also, if you're just starting to feel like things are not great in your body, then now is the time to start, for sure. And I've designed the program in a way to be great for any level of fitness, and with accountability tools and tracking tools to help you become more aware of your habits and increase the mind-body connection, and just start thinking differently about how you do everything day to day, with really quick journal entries. And it's an important part of increasing your body awareness and your um, ability to move better is knowing what triggers things as well, which can also be situational and emotional. If you're really stressed, there's lots going on. That's usually when stuff like this comes out in your body. So getting to know when that happens is important. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been talking about that. I talked with another guest not too long ago about how the body manifests the emotions we don't process into physical symptoms. And another point that I think is really something to think about, as I watched my grandmother, she passed away recently, but as I watched her get older and get into the nursing home, she did not move. Like they would sit her in a chair and she just sat. And that's kind of how she lived the last several years of her life, even before she was in a nursing home, even when she was just living by herself. And so I think it's important to adopt some sort of movement routine, some program to keep you active, because I think like we forget that, when we get out of practice of something, we get out of habit and we don't do it, and then we just sit, the harder it is to then get up and move. And so when you're like, oh, to get out of a chair, I heard my bones pop and my muscles hurt, and it's because you're not getting up and moving enough, I think. And I think many of us are guilty of that. I will tell
Mm-hmm.
you that sometimes I'm guilty of putting off exercise, but
Oh, yeah.
it's great to get in the habit. And I love that you have the accountability piece there and the mindset piece, because I think that is so important. So many people will give up before they even get started if they don't have some kind of accountability there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And somatics is kind of a slow burn. So I think it's even more important with that, since it feels kind of like you're doing nothing at first until, you finish the session and then you notice the changes in your body. And then, of course, over the weeks, it gets more and more. Like I have clients who are doing things they haven't done in a long time, or they're able to do a day of gardening and not feel like they're completely pummeled.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's so many things that it opens up for people. And it's a great entry level for coming back from injury and a time of being more sedentary, because it's just so accessible that way. And as you say with your grandparents, I saw the same thing with mine, and that I think is part of what inspired me to be even better with my body and want to inspire others to do that with theirs. Is just there's so much potential to keep moving well into your older years, unless something really terrible happens with your body and makes it not really possible. But there's this video I saw years ago of a man in his 80s who had built like a little kind of track for himself with all these balancing things and jumping on balls, running on rails, and he's doing this like way better than I could have done.
Everyone else to shame.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that kind of thing just makes me go, okay, I want to be like that. So, and I want to help others try to be like that too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think I just read somewhere that there was a 90-year-old who decided she just wanted to run a marathon and then did. And I'm like, wow, I don't even try things like that. So that's awesome if you're at that age and you can keep moving. And I think part of what you're doing helps people to be able to do that. So that's amazing that you're helping others. Tell us a little bit more about your 30-day program.
It's basically you're learning several fundamental exercises, somatic exercises that target all the main parts of your body: the front, the back, the sides, and the main muscle groups that control your movement. And these exercises can address all sorts of issues that are really common for most of us, like neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain. Um, Sciatica is a big one for people, knee pain, arthritis. It can ease pain with that. So these are all just, it's basically anything in your body that hurts is likely going to be helped with these exercises. And so each week, there's a series of videos released, and it's trickled down. So once you finish one, then you're allowed to go to the next one, and it's paced out so you can absorb the information really easily and not get overwhelmed and explore each exercise. And then, as I mentioned, there's the accountability tool. So there's a journal to track your progress and reflect on everything. And I've also got more in-depth brief handouts on each exercise that explain what muscles it's helping, what conditions it can help, and tips on doing them the best way. And also I've got regular emails every other day just to check in and, make sure you're feeling on track. And I'm always accessible to, as well as to anyone doing the program if they have questions. And so, yeah, it's 4 weeks total, approximately 30 days. 30 days just sounds better for title, but they also, anyone who gets it has it for life. So if life happens, can't get it done in 30 days, that's totally fine. It's available for as long as I'm around or my system is up there. So so it's really a great sort of foundation for building the practice. And it's I shot all the videos on one of the Gulf Islands near me here. I'm in Vancouver, BC. And so my husband's family has a beautiful place on Galliano Island. So I did all the videos there. It's outside with birds tweeting. And so it's nice to look at too. You can pretend you're somewhere else.
I love that. I love that when instructors do that, because that actually does motivate me. One of the instructors that I used to follow on YouTube would always do her workouts on the beach. And they would be different beaches. Sometimes she was in California and like Huntington Beach, and sometimes she was on the Maldives, like we are sometimes.
Yeah.
And I would be like, oh, I want to be there. But it would help me, I don't know, to keep me motivated to just like look at the scenery and ignore the fact that I was in pain doing the workout.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I love being out in nature, so it's a big part of now that it's nice again. I did my first outdoor video for YouTube yesterday and felt really good to get out there again.
Yes, it is finally getting a little bit warmer here too. So that's also just such an amazing way to ground yourself, is just to get out there in nature. And it helps, I think, with all of the emotional aspect of everything when you get overwhelmed. So
Mm.
you go outside and do these exercise videos, it's only gonna, I think, even heighten the benefit that you get from the videos.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. It's and I've a good thing about somatics and the main kind of goal of it with all teachers who teach it is that they're creating independence in their students. So once you learn them and you feel confident, you can just go wherever and do them. So you can go outside and do them without the video. You can, and you get to know what your body needs. Um, and I know you mentioned getting a massage, and that's a great way to get the tension out of your body initially, and then following up with something like somatics will help to get those muscles all back in line and sort of reap the benefits of the massage. Since that's a passive practice and somatics is an active practice, and that's where the change really happens. So yeah, it's a great complement to things like massage and chiropractor. And ideally, you're not supposed to get too much of that work done while you're learning somatics, but it's a either way, it's a great complement. And I know a lot of personal trainers and therapists like to recommend it now that they're starting to learn about it. So yeah.
Very nice. And I think it's interesting too, because I don't think we even realize how connected things are, where when we have a pain, in our back, that the actual pain isn't really where we think it is. It like starts somewhere else in your body and just sort of travels down sometimes. Because I feel the same way with headaches. Sometimes when you get headaches, it's actually caused from things like muscles and knots elsewhere that just kind of also send that pressure up. So I'm sure that there are probably benefits you won't even realize you're going to get until you practice this, because you'll realize, oh my gosh, I can't, I didn't realize how bad I was in pain in different places until I started doing this, and it started being relieved.
Yeah, exactly. And that it is an interesting process because, you'll find, let's say you start doing some of the hip releases in the somatic exercises, and then after you've done that, maybe you realize, oh, my low back kind of hurts now. It's like, okay, well, your hips were so braced that they were holding you in there. And now that they're all loose and happy, the low back's like, hey, now what's going on? So yeah, it's a total process of unraveling all these layers and realizing how much is connected. And so it's a great practice for gaining that understanding even more. And it's something that most people, I think, don't get to really think about much in their day to day. And so I think it really develops an appreciation for our bodies the more we kind of get to know them like that. So
Do you find that when people do these exercises that their posture like permanently overall changes for the better?
yeah, absolutely. With the regular regime of doing it, ideally a few days a week, but even once a week starts to help. So yeah, I've done sort of before and afters for people to show them, and there's generally an improvement with head posture not being as forward or shoulders being a little less rounded, and even just after one session you can see a difference. And then of course things kind of go back into,
Yeah,
so that's why it's so important to keep doing it, is that it's
right.
not like a, oh, it's done, we're fixed. So,
Not
but
many things are
absolutely,
like that anyway.
no, nothing's like that.
Like they are, but they're
Sadly. But yeah, absolutely, definitely huge posture changes for people. Yeah. Hmm.
I think that's going to be really important, because I've noticed, even just with my own children, how the phone,
Oh
they're
yes,
constantly
text
going
neck.
with the phone. Yes, I'm like, oh, your posture is terrible because you're
Yeah.
always slumped over the phone. And they, both of them, oh, my back hurts, my neck hurts. I'm like,
Oh
yeah, I guess
gosh.
it does. Like, you stand horribly, humped, slunched over your phone all day long.
Yeah.
So,
Honestly, that's when it starts. It starts when we're like teenagers, because like the modern lifestyle of sort of everything starts to take hold more as we get closer to being adults. And yeah, so I'd love to see this type of thing eventually be integrated into wellness for in school and stuff like that.
yeah,
But mhm.
they could get rid of doing the boot, scoot, and boogie or all the line
Yeah,
dance.
exactly.
Do some of this. The stupid things we had to do in PE. No offense to any PE
Oh, I
teachers
know.
out there.
I used to hate PE. Like I love fitness, but I hated
I
PE.
know, I did too. They made us do Sweat into the Oldies with Richard Simmons, and that
Oh
was
my gosh.
embarrassing. Like
Yeah.
junior high, you're already awkward and embarrassed by being alive, and then they're like 4 and 2 lines and down, dance down the line to this 50s music. Like,
Yeah, we had to do line dancing. It's so weird.
like, why is this a part of PE?
Yeah.
Don't get it. That would definitely be a better thing, and yoga in general would have been a better thing,
Mhm.
something to teach
Exactly.
you to move. We didn't do any. We did have to do buns of steel. I appreciate. Appreciate that.
Oh man.
And I
Yeah.
thought it was also very sexist, because the girls had to do all of the workout videos, like the Kathy Ireland and then Buns of Steel, and the boys did weightlifting. And like, I would rather go in there and lift weights than have to do this right now.
Yeah, no doubt. I would too.
Yeah, so that would definitely be, any teachers out there listening, let's change the curriculum a little bit.
Yep. There are some great people starting to do that at least, but yeah, it's going to be a while.
So if anyone wants to follow you, or if they want to take your class, or they want to just learn more about somatics, how can they do that?
I've got, I guess my main website is movedeeply.com. So, and I'm on Instagram at Move Deeply Wellness, and I'm also on YouTube. If you just search for Move Deeply, and I've got lots of free videos on there, and I'm starting to do weekly ones now. So that's a great way to just get started and see if it feels good for your body. And yeah, I've also got the course would go through my website, and within my sort of services, I've got a bunch of other things too, if people want to explore that, like video bundles. And yeah, so and yeah, there's just so many great resources out there for somatics. If you Google clinical somatics, somatics is a broad word. There's a lot of somatics things out there. So looking at clinical somatics or HANA somatics is the type that I teach, that's more focused on the muscle relaxation and postural realignment. And yeah, and Thomas Hanna is the inventor of what I teach, and his book is amazing. So I'd look at that too. A lot of
Awesome.
resources
Yeah.
there.
I will have the links also in the show notes. So if you want to go check out our website.
Not yet. Maybe one day.
Do a podcast. If you want to check out our website, or if you want to check out our social media, you can go to the show notes and click there. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here with us today. This was such a great conversation. I certainly learned something new, because I really have never heard about this practice before. So I'm grateful to learn new things. I always like to ask our guests before they leave, if you have any words of wisdom for our listeners out there, what would that be?
Well, I think a big thing that I really think has changed my perception of living with pain and getting over it was just the idea of being curious and being open to options, and not being afraid to experiment with movement, even when you're feeling not great. It's the best thing you can do is move in some way and explore the many options out there for you, and just to keep that kind of playful perspective of the kind of inner child when it comes to moving our bodies.
I love that. I think that's so true too, because you have to enjoy what you're doing in order to really motivate yourself to keep doing it. So great advice. Thank you again so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Melissa.
And I want to thank all of you for being here with us today also. If you like this podcast, please leave a review. Please leave some stars on iTunes, and share the podcast with anyone you think might enjoy it. Also, if you want to follow me on social media, I go live Mondays at 6:30 Central on Facebook, where I do a free card reading. If you show up for the live, I'll pull a card especially for you. And if you want to go to my website, melissaoatman.com, there you'll see all the services I offer. You can work with me. You can purchase directly from my site, and then just contact me to schedule your session. Thank you, guys. I hope that you have a beautiful day from wherever you're listening. As always, I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.